Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
So, Matt, I watched Dak Prescott last night, and I've been a critic. I thought he was really good. I thought Dak was – I was just like, man, listen, CD's dropping it. He's not getting worked up. He's not mad. He was stoic. You got Brian Schottenheimer. I don't know. Your takeaway on Dak, I was really impressed.
I'm glad you brought it up. I completely agree. A lot of hate going at Dak for years and years. I thought last night he looked great. Coming off of the injury, I thought he looked fit. I thought he looked quick. You know, he said he felt slow. He didn't look slow. He looked like a guy that was in command, in control. And honestly, like with the loss of Micah Parsons on defense, like leaders got to step up, really step up. You're not just the leader because you make all the money or you're the quarterback. You're a leader by the things that you do when like no one really watches or no one really notices. Like the camera multiple times last night, he's going up and down the sidelines, dapping up each one of his teammates, like the whole night. Like reminded me of like what Bill Russell was like when he was on the Celtics. It was very captain-like of him at all times, keeping us engaged. Like he came for the fight. And I don't think we've seen that at a Dak this way, not quite this way. I was impressed.
Yeah. You know, I think it's something, I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but I remember years ago, Randy Moss, Brady go to play the Dolphins on Monday night, and they targeted Randy Moss one time. And I said on the air, I worked at another company, I said, okay, if you're only targeting Randy Moss once, he not long for New England. He got traded a few days later. A.J. Brown was invisible. Now, Dallas Goedert's good. Barkley, I don't know. I got to be honest about that, Matt. That doesn't smell right to me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think last year they had a slow, they started out slow figuring out how to use Saquon Barkley. They've got a new coordinator, and sometimes you can kind of get lost in the forest on your call sheet. You get that big giant call sheet, and you're thinking like, okay, Eberflus, he's in zone 90% of the time. He's in too high. Like you just kind of get lost with it, and you're really focused on winning the game. And sometimes what can happen is you can forget that a star receiver is not getting the ball. Like I remember Mike Holmgren on his call sheet, he would have like a whole section. I see it on Andy Reid's. His is, just as big. A whole section for like, get this guy touches. And you saw that they tried to do it kind of late, but I think it's important. I was teammates with Jerry Rice at the end of his career. I mean, he's 40 years old. He's Jerry Rice though, and he would come to me like during TV timeouts, stuff like that. And he'd like grab my arm and be like, hey man, like I would love to feel a part of this game. I would love to feel part of this game. And as a quarterback and as a play caller, I do think that that's an important thing. When you have a star receiver outside, you got to include them. And I thought A.J. Brown was included in other ways, blocking and all that kind of stuff. But you got to be more intentional about making it happen. I think they get it fixed, but clearly that was a miss last night.
By the way, the rain delay was weird. I thought it benefited Philadelphia. I said, like, you're the road team. It's already a pain in the butt to play on the road. It's a big rivalry game. Then you have a rain delay after halftime. I did think Philadelphia post-delay felt a little different. Did you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a team that's been there, I think on the broadcast, they did a good job. It'll probably feel like a really, really long halftime at a Super Bowl. Obviously the Eagles are just coming off of a Super Bowl. Dallas hasn't been, so like, I remember my Super Bowl, the Rolling Stones played and we were told, hey, it's going to be longer than normal. Well, they played even longer than they were supposed to play. And like, there is something to just like, so what, now what? That's the mindset. So what, now what? And I think like a Nick Sirianni, been there, done it team, been together as a group. Hey, so what, now what? Yeah. Okay. Lightning delay. So what? Like, here we go. And I think, I think the advantage, if you're going to give one, go to Philly.
So, generally, I like offensive coaches and good quarterbacks in September. I think most coaches are obsessed to begin with. Offensive guys are designing stuff, and McVay or Andy Reid or, any of these offensive guys, they're going to have some tricks, Sean Payton, that you haven't seen. So I would think Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor would be good early, and they have struggled. I'm looking the last 3 regular seasons, weeks 1 and 2, Burrow's 0-6. Week 3 on, they win 70% of their games. Can you just decipher it, decode it? Why do you think Burrow and Zach struggle early?
Well, I'm not sure how much work Burrow had been getting in the preseason. and even training camp in like the last 3 years, but it's been different this year. You can tell that this is a point of emphasis for them. He's playing more, when teams are resting their starters, he and Jamar Chase are out there, lighting the league up in the preseason. But, to me, I think it's more than just a quarterback situation. How you do training camp is important. Sometimes week one, the quarterbacks or the coaches that are so good at game planning and studying you, they struggle week one because it's more of a blind date. I would put Zach Taylor. I don't know if he gets the reputation or not, but he's very much like Sean McVay to me, like where he knows the scheme, he knows how to get the one-on-one. And so like, that's the thing. But the other thing to me, week one is like, what kind of training camp did you have? Who's really good at tackling defensively? And I think that's just one of the new things here with the offseason being how it is, the amount of preseason games that have been taken away. We got guys that haven't had to tackle live and really been tested, haven't been exposed. And, sometimes those guys get exposed week one. And, Cincinnati doesn't stick out to me as a great tackling team in the last few years. So, I think there's a lot of factors that might go into it, but I'm a believer in Joe Burrow all the way.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the tackling. So I'm not a big fan of games in Brazil. London, Germany, Mexico City. I think it's a big ask for players. This game is so hard on players. I mean, Brazil feels like, what is the flight? 15 hours? I don't like it. You tell me your thoughts on it as a player. Is it discomforting? Like, where do you land on that game, Chargers-Chiefs tonight?
Well, my first NFL game, I was with the Packers. We played against the Chiefs in Tokyo, in the Tokyo Dome. I got blown up right around second base and sprained my tailbone. So I got a bad memory from that game. But, playing surface is, I think, a big thing. I've been down to Mexico City seeing, ironically, I think it was the Chiefs and Raiders play a game down there. It was a very slick surface. I think it's hard on the players. I think it's hard on everybody. I was just in Kansas City and was talking to their equipment manager, Alan Wright. They had to ship everything out a week before. So there's almost like 2 sets of equipment minus things like your helmet. So it's a grind, but for the teams that have done it and have like a veteran group doing it, I think it gives them a little bit of an edge. It is a little bit of a circus and a little bit of a show, but I think the Chiefs, again, they're just used to it. Like everything they do is breaking news, whether it's in the sports world or outside the sports world. They seem to just kind of like water off a duck's back, like they're just like, yeah, here we go. Yeah. And I will say this, I think a lot of people, including you, Colin, are sleeping on this Chiefs team. I think this is the most talented team they've had in a long time. And I think that you're going to see a Travis Kelce and a group around Travis Kelce like really finish strong. They realize how special this year could be if it is in fact his last year. So I'm a believer in the Chiefs this year.
So when you get a new player like Micah Parsons and you've got a very strong culture in Green Bay, which like Dallas's defense was fine without him. I think we all think he's going to go and get 6 sacks again. Micah's going to change it. But this is a well-coached team. What kind of impact do you think he could have against Detroit week one? Or does it, when you get new players late? I mean, it just happened. What do you expect from Micah?
Yeah, it's real. Well, listen, they're going to have a small package for him on third down. Jeff Hafley does a really good job on third down designing scheme, like, singling him up. And I promise you, it's a pain in the butt for the opponent to wonder where he's going to be. How many snaps is he going to play? Are we dedicating 2 linemen or a lineman and a tight end, a lineman and a running back? Are we dedicating those resources to him? And then he's not even on the field. Like you'd almost rather know without a shadow of a doubt, like a Max Crosby, like, yeah, he's going to be there. At least we know what we're up against. This is a little bit unsettling because, hey, are they going to use him mostly on first and second down? Are they going to use him only on third down? Are they going to use him in special situations? How much of the defense can he grasp? I think you can guess at it, but it's a lot tougher. And so I do think, like, as a pass rusher type guy, even if he played 15 snaps and came away with 2 pressures and a sack and a half, like, that's a win week one.
Finally, Seattle well. I like them against the Niners. And one of the reasons I like them is if you go to this coaching staff after the bye. I'm a big believer when Brady goes to Tampa. They were 7-5 at the bye. And now I can sit down with Bruce Arians and say, listen, I need to shorten up some routes. The NFL season, you're on a treadmill. The bye gives new people a chance. It's like really to work on stuff. So when I look at McDonald and the Seahawks last year, after the bye, it was like, okay, they really needed that. They were a different team. I think they're going to surprise people. Where are you on Seattle? Final question, going into the weekend where they're very good at home against the Niners.
Well, Brock Purdy doesn't seem phased to go into Seattle. That's one thing that's very unique. You had mentioned when I first jumped on, people don't like to go see Seattle. Brock Purdy doesn't seem to care. Mike McDonald, though, I think he's been pretty great. Like, I think he's been underrated, 10-win team last year. Top 10 defense. And think about how they started out last year. I think they had like an interception and 2 safeties to like start the first half or something crazy last year. So that's not the identity that he's looking for. He's looking for an offense that's going to be run the ball, play action centric. Basically, don't screw it up for my defense. I am so confident in what I'm going to be on defense. Think Baltimore Ravens a little bit, like control back in the day, control the ball, play great defense. I think that's the image that he has. And now with this injury news about Christian McCaffrey not coming out, I think the Seahawks win this division. This was the game that I thought, this might be the toughest game on their season just because it's a new collection of people. Sam Darnold, all the receivers are gone, all that stuff. But no, I'm buying Seattle this year. I like them a lot in this division. And, that home field advantage, it's an important thing to have. Sometimes a lot of red shows up in Seattle, and it'd be nice if Seahawks fans didn't let that happen.